Hello and welcome to a double stitch creations tutorial. Today we're going to be finishing off Milo the Dingo pencil topper. This is part 2. In the first tutorial we made his head and we embroidered his nose and his eyes and his ears. And today we're going to be working on his body, his tail and his arms. So we'll finish him off today hopefully. So let's get started. We're using the yellow. I'm working from the pattern. I'm using the 3.5mm hook. And we're going to start by making a slip knot. So the way I make a slip knot is I wrap the yarn around my finger twice. I always leave a tail because we'll weave that in later. I get the back loop and I pull it over the front loop. And then I get my tail again and I put it in front of the loop that is still on my finger. And I once more pull the back loop over the front loop. So now you've got this handy slip knot. Slip knot means you can tighten or loosen as you need to. Then you put it on your hook, the loop on your hook. It's not tight. You can glide up and down. And how I hold my yarn is like this. I hook my pinky around the yarn here. I turn my hand so my pointer can go under here. And then my index finger and my thumb come around and lightly hold my work close to the crochet hook. And then we're working with this yarn here. So the pattern says to chain 2. So go under the yarn, hooking that yarn and pulling it back through the loop on a hook. That's 1. And under the yarn or yarn over, or hooking it and pulling it back through the loop on a hook. That's 2. And now we're going to put 5 single crochets into the second chain from the hook. So what does that mean? Here's our hook. This is our first chain. You're looking for that V shape. We can't crochet into that first chain to the hook. So hook, first chain. We'll just undo. So we've got to crochet into the second one down. So here's our hook. This is our first chain. We're looking for that first. And this is the second. Now if you just follow the tail, where it goes through that knot, the bottom loop of the second chain, so hook, 1, 2. So I'm following this. Where it goes the bottom, you can get your needle and just pull it out a little bit and make a ring, and you can tighten it later. So this is where we're going to be crocheting into. We're going to put all our 5 stitches into this spot. Just by doing that, it makes it easier to see. So turning, putting your hook into that chain stitch that we made bigger, yarn over, pulling it back through that chain stitch. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Then yarn over, pull through both loops. So that's our first single crochet going into that same spot. So we're putting all 5 stitches into this same chain stitch. Yarn over, pulling it back through the stitch. Oops. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. Once again, going into the same chain stitch into that spot we made bigger, yarn over, pulling up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 3. We want to do 5. So, and they're all going into the same spot. So 4 and 5. And now you can pull it tight. And that's our first round for the body of our dingo. Okay, now we're going into the first stitch. So each stitch makes a V shape. So you're looking for that V, and that each stitch has a front loop and a back loop, what we call a front loop and a back loop. It has 2 loops. So we're going to put our hook under both those loops of the very first stitch. And round 2 is 2 single crochets into every stitch around until we have 10 stitches. So going into the first stitch of the round, making sure I go under both those loops of the stitch, yarn over, pulling it back through the stitch, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 1, and we're going to put 2 single crochets into every stitch around until we get to 10. So we're just doubling it. So we're going into that same stitch, so into the very first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets into the next, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook. So doing another single crochet, so 2 single crochets into every stitch around. We're increasing and making our body bigger until we have 10. So we've done 4, this will be 5, 6, 7, 8. So just make sure you put 2 single crochets into every stitch around, and then 9 and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Round 3, 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 single crochet into the next, and as we go we're going to add the tail. So we're increasing still, and we'll do it together. So we're going to still increase because we want to get to 15, but we're also going to add the tail as we crochet. So I will help you do that. So first of all, we're going to do 2 single crochets into the very first stitch of the round. So putting 2 single crochets into this stitch. So you can put your hook under that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's your first single crochet. Now I'm doing another single crochet into the same stitch, and you can get your handy stitch marker here and put it here at the very first stitch to hold your place, so you know when you get back to the stitch marker that completes your round. And we want to have 15 stitches by the time we get back to here. So we did 2 into the first stitch. Now we're just doing 1 single crochet, so just 1 into this stitch. Now we're repeating that, 2 single crochets, then 1 all the way around, but as we go we're going to add the tail. So I might do 2 single crochets into the next, and then doing 2 single crochets into this stitch. Now I'm going to add the tail here. It doesn't really matter where you add the tail in this round, but I'm going to add it here. So first of all I'm going to do a normal single crochet, so just 1 into this stitch. Now we're going to chain 5. So yarn over, pulling that yarn back through loop and hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now remember, we can't work into the first chain from the hook because it'll just undo, so we've got to go into the second one, and we're just going under the top loop of the chain. So just in the very top loop, that's where we're going to put our hook, and we're going to do a slip stitch to go into that top loop of the chain, yarn over, pull that loop back through the stitch. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Now we're just simply pulling this first stitch through the back stitch. So just hook that first stitch and pull it through the back stitch. That's a slip stitch. And I'll just give him a little point on the end of his tail. Okay, going into the next chain, once again to the top loop of the chain, and this time we're going to do a single crochet. Okay, so yarn over, pulling that back through the chain stitch, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. We're going to do a single crochet into the next 2 stitches of the chain. So going under that next chain, under the top loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. I'm doing the same for the very last chain stitch. Now, where we did that first single crochet at the start of the tail, going into that same spot, and we're going to do yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops and hook. We're going to do a slip stitch now, and that's pulling the first loop or the first stitch through the back loop. So the first loop, the front loop is on your hook, is going to go through the back loop. Okay, now we're continuing on with our normal round of increasing. So we did a single crochet here, so now we want to do 2 single crochets in here. into the next stitch. So I'm going into the next stitch beside the tail, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. Into the same stitch, because I want 2, because I'm increasing, doing the same thing. Now we're doing 1 single crochet, now 2 single crochets. Then 1 and 2, and then 1. So that completes round 3. Now I usually count it on the next round, your stitches, because the tail can make it a little confusing, but you should have about 15 stitches, which I'll count on round 4. So with round 4, we're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around, but we're going to crochet around the tail. So I'll show you how to do that. So just do a normal single crochet into the next stitch. So going into that next stitch, making sure our hook goes under both loops of the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both, and you can put your stitch marker back here into the first stitch just to make it easier to keep track. So that's 1, doing 1 single crochet into the next. So we're just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch around for the 15 stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to crochet into that stitch right beside the tail. So doing a normal single crochet. So that's 6. Now push the tail forward because we want it to be on the outside of our body. And go into the stitch right beside the tail on the other side. So I've just pushed the tail forward. I'm skipping over the tail bit there, and then I'm just going to put my stitch into my hook into that stitch on the other side of the tail and just do a normal single crochet. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so that completes round 4. Alright, and while we're here, we're going to pause here and we're going to weave in that end from the center. Okay, at this point we're just going to weave in the end from the middle. So get your tapestry needle, and I just weave it in and out of the pull it tight so the hole at the center of our body is not there, is gone. And just weave the thread in and out of the stitches. There's no right or wrong, it's just securing the base so it doesn't come undone. So I just go in and out. Back and forth until you feel like it's secure. And then once you've done that, just trim it. And it doesn't matter about this bit, you're not going to see it, it's going to be inside the body of your dingo. Alright, so now we're moving on to rounds 5 and 6. So we're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around for the 15 stitches, and we're going to do that twice. So just putting 1 single crochet, so going into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 1. So we're just going to put 1 into each of the stitches around, and we're going to do that twice. So that's for 2 rounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now do that again. Just do another round just like that, and I'll see you at the end of round 6. So just putting 1 single crochet into every stitch around for the 15 stitches, and I will get back to you at the end of round 6. So just do it one more time, and I'll see you at the end of round 6. Okay, just finished round 6, and see our body's starting to take shape, complete with little dingo tail. Now we're on to round 7, and now we're going to start working on our dingo's neck, and we're just going to do what's called a decrease. So we're making this bit a bit smaller. So to do round 7 is a single crochet decrease and then a single crochet in the next stitch, and repeat that until we get to 10 stitches. So to do a decrease, you're joining 2 stitches together. So we're using the single crochet stitch, but we're going to use that to join 2 stitches together. So you go into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, 2 loops on your hook. And now instead of yarning over and pulling through both loops, we're going to go as you would for a normal single crochet. We're going to pause here, and then we're going to go into the very next stitch right beside it, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, and yarn over, pull through all 3. So that's our first decrease for this round. And you can put your stitch marker back in here for the first stitch. Now the next stitch is just a normal single crochet, so just doing what we normally do, into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. Now we're going to do a decrease again, and we're going to join 2 stitches together. So into this first stitch, or next stitch, sorry, yarn over, pull up a loop, and going into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull up another loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then we're doing a single crochet, just a normal single crochet. Okay, we're up to a decrease, so into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, into the next stitch right beside it. So joining 2 together, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Then just a normal single crochet. Now a decrease. So joining the 2 stitches together. And you just keep doing this for the whole round until you get to 10 stitches. So that was the normal single crochet. Now I'm doing a decrease, and then the last stitch is a normal single crochet, and you should find that you have 10 stitches. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Round 8 is just 1 single crochet into every stitch around for the 10 stitches. So just doing normal single crochets. So going into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops, and you can put your stitch marker back in if you like. So we're just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch around till we get back to our stitch marker, or you can count it. So that's, I've just done 2. We want to do it for all 10 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so that completes the body, and what we want to do is cut our yarn, but cut it long enough so that you can attach the body to the head. Now I always sew around it twice when I'm attaching parts of my animals, so leave a long enough thread to sew around twice. Okay, now you can pull out the stitch marker now, you don't need it. Just yarn over and pull that thread all the way through, so you're finishing off. We're going to fill our body with a little bit of hobby fill. And I always like to get the end of a crochet hook here just to push it in. You can put a little bit in now, and then if you feel like as you're getting toward, as you're sewing the body and the head together, if you feel like you need a little bit more, you can always add a little bit more before you finish sewing it completely together. Okay. Once you've got the body filled with hobby fill, now with a tapestry needle. And okay, you want to make sure that the tail goes to the back of your dingo, because that would not look too well, look quite funny. So put your head on with the tail at the back and just hold it in place. And now I just go from, it's attached to the body, so now I'm going into the head. Just making sure my tail is at the back. And then I'm going into the body, so I'm just picking up the top row of stitching from the body, the very last row that we did. So I'm just putting my needle under the top row of stitching. And then I'm going back into the head. And I'm just double checking that I am sewing this on in the right spot. Now I'm going back into the body and just going underneath the next stitch. Then back into the head. And you just keep repeating this. So back into the body and into the head. And you just do this all the way around, and then I do it again, because I like to make sure that it's secure. And keep double checking to make sure I've sewn it into the right spot. So into the body, then into the head. And back into that, just double checking that my tail is still at the back, because it does move on you. Okay, just keep going all the way around. If you feel you need to add more filling, add it in here now. I think mine's pretty good, so I'm going to leave it. Just keep going into the body, into the head, and then go around again, and I will get back to you to finish off. Okay, now that your body and your head is attached, because this is at the front of my dingo, I'm just going to push it through to the back. And now I'm just going to knot it 3 times. I always do 3 knots. And once you've done your last knot, then you just weave the end in and out of your body of your dingo, just tucking it away. Just makes it a little bit more secure. So going in the same direction as the stitching, just going in and out. And then once you've done that, you can trim it really close to the body. And that's your dingo nearly finished. So we just got to do his arms and his legs now. Okay, we're going to attach the arms on our dingo or legs so that he can hold onto the pencil. So counting from the bottom, just going to count up 6 rows, 5 or 6, it's just completely up to you. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to attach my arms to the side of my dingo, so I'll put my hook under a stitch in the body of the dingo like this. Then grab your yarn and just leave a bit of a tail, and I just hook it over my finger so I can make a bit of a loop. And then I put it on the hook and I pull it through the arm, back through the body of the dingo. Now I grab this tail and I just pull it all the way through that loop, and I put my hook back. I put the loop back on my hook, then you can pull it tight. Now we're going to chain 5. So yarn over, going under the yarn and pulling it back through the loop on your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're skipping about 4 stitches in the front of our dingo. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to all make it roughly even on the other side. So actually I'm looking at this and I think I've gone too high on my dog here. So I'm going to count up 5 instead. So you just adjust as needed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm also going to move it over 1, I think. So just going into the body, making a loop and putting it on your hook, pulling it through the body, then getting the tail of the yarn and pulling it all the way through. Then putting your hook back through that loop. Now you can pull it tight. And now I'm chaining 5 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to skip about 4 or 5 stitches in the front of my dingo. So each hole represents a stitch, roughly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to put my hook back into the body and around a stitch of the body. So just like that. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull that back through the body. So you have 2 loops in your hook, and then yarn over, pull through both. And now we're going to put 8 single crochets around the chain. So we're turning and we're going back over the chain we just made. So we're going under the chain. So we're going, essentially putting the stitches around the chain. So just going, putting your hook under the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 1, 2. So I'm going under the chain, yarning over, pulling it back under the chain, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 3, and I want to do 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, where we attach the yarn at the very start, we're going to put a hook back around that stitch in the body. So going back into the body, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So now cut your yarn, leaving a bit of a tail, and the yarn that you just cut, pull yarn over and pull that all the way through the loop on your hook. And now you can knot it off, and as always, I always do 3. And then you get your tapestry needle, and you're just going to weave the ends in and out of the body and tuck them away. Just weaving it in and out, back and forth. As always, there's no right or wrong, just securing it away, making it a little bit more secure. And then you can trim it really close to the body so you can't see the ends. And just get the end of your needle and tuck it in if you need to. So that's 1 done. Now we're going to do the other one. So because I did 5, I'm probably going to, you can count up 4, so 3 or 4. So 1, 2, 3. Probably going to do 3, so leaving a little bit of a gap between the arms. And I'm going to line it up with the top arm, and I'm going back into the body of our dingo once more and around at one of the stitches of the body. I'm looping it over my finger to make a bit of a loop so I can put it on my hook. Also leaving a tail, pulling it back through the body, just grabbing the end and pulling it all the way through that loop on your hook. Just putting your hook back through the loop. Now you can pull it tight. Chaining 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then just lining it up with your arm on the other side. And in the same, you want to make sure you're attaching it in the same row. So I'm going to put it in here. Then yarn, so going into the body with the dingo, yarning over, pulling up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. And once again, we're going to turn, and we're going to single crochet back along the chain. So going, putting my hook under the chain, yarning over, pulling up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 1, and you want to do 8 again. So just doing the same as the other arm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now where we attach the arm around the body on the other, here we're going to go back into that spot, the same spot. So putting my hook around the stitch of the body in the same where we attached it. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. Now cut your yarn so you've got a tail, leaving a bit of a tail. The yarn you just cut, yarn over and pull all the way through that loop in your hook. And once again, knotting the two ends together. Completely up to you how many knots you do. I always do 3 just to have it. And then getting your tapestry needle once more and just weaving it in and out of the body of your dingo, Milo Dingo. And once you're happy with it, turn it off. And there you go, you have your very own Milo Dingo that you hopefully had a lot of fun making, creating as much as I had designing him for you. And he should sit on your pencil like this. Now if you have a bigger pencil you may need to chain more or do more or less single crochets depending on the pencil you have. Otherwise, hope you have a lot of fun with him, and I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.